Sam's business is very interesting because she started a higher-end floristry and she knew nothing about flowers. In this episode, we're going to learn how she got started, what the future looks like, and what makes Sam tick as an entrepreneur. Sam has got a great story, and this is another episode you won't want to miss. Sam, welcome. Hello.
Hello.
This is the cabin.
This is so cool.
But it is cool because we've only just finished this. Ollie, you're going to do some cutaways and put it in about the outside and the inside of the cabin.
Because it'll be a good way for you to talk about this.
Because the cabin, we are using this as a sales tool, Sam. And we're using this to make the groom have a choice of what wedding venue to go to, because otherwise he didn't have a choice before. My first question, how did you know you were going to be the boss? In the pre-chat that we've had, you said you knew you were going to be the boss when you were how old?
Very young.
Like what?
Very young. I mean, I was always a natural leader anyway, you know, in the school playground, you know, if there was a game to be played, I decided who was on what team or where they were going to go. So naturally, it was just the way, you know, that I am. I think I just don't like to be told what to do, if the truth be known. So when you have that mindset, you just need to take charge and get shit done, basically. So that's what I did. And I knew from a very, very young age that I would have my own business. I had no clue what it was going to be in, but I just knew. Okay.
And then what happened? Was school, you were a good student?
I was a terrible student.
Were you?
I was a bad student at school. Apologies to all my teachers if any of them see this. I was gobby, I was loud, I knew best. I thought I'd been here before and knew all the answers. I was frustrated. I was very frustrating for the teachers because they said that I was naturally quite bright, but I just threw it away, basically. Right. I had a very competitive flair when I was at school, so sports was very attractive to me, and I got on really well with my PE teachers. So, you know, I was in every team. I had to be in the A team of every team: basketball, cricket, rugby, netball, hockey. I did it all and loved it all. So that was really where they knew I was in my happy place. So they channeled my energy into sport and kept me out of the classroom, basically.
That really is good, because when I look at what they were doing with me as a dyslexic student, they were trying to mend me.
Yeah, no,
they were trying to get me to read. Well, what they should have done is pushed me more into art or metalwork or something that I could practically do. And I ended up, and we're going to come on to this, because I ended up going to East 15 Drama School. And I know your backstory is that you got involved in acting from an early age?
Yep, I did.
Tell us about that.
So at the age of 13, I was shopping in my local town, and I got touted by an agent, and I was all young and stupid, and he could have sold me anything and I would have probably signed up for it. Right. But he was promoting for extras for a programme called Grange Hill, which was a children's programme back in the 90s.
Yeah, if anybody's old enough,
yes.
It was the programme, wasn't it? The programme.
So I got approached, and I went running home to my mum, and I was like, I'm just been approached with it's a load of old rubbish, it's not going to happen. So I did it secretly. I signed the contract and sent it off, and then they wrote back to me with the official documentation. I had to go for an interview with my mum, who was fuming with me that I'd forged her signature.
And that thing with mum saying it's a load of rubbish, was that a trigger?
Absolutely. There was no way that I was not going to do it. Yeah. And that was kind of my mentality when I was young.
Do you know, I showed my dad a Honda trike with the big balloon tyres, and I said, I'm going to buy that. And he went, well, I won't be paying for it. Yep. So secretly, like you, I was about 12, mm-hmm. I collected all this money together, and I washed cars, done all the stuff you need to do. And then I said to my dad, would you come and help me collect the bike? He said, no, you're absolutely not having that bike. But you said we're not my own money. Anyway, the mum and dad ended up having this big argument, and I went and got the new motorbike because they didn't want me to have an accident, this, that, and the other. But it was that secretive thing is a trait of perseverance.
It is totally. Like, she was adamant that no.
So what happened then? Go on.
So we, as I say, they then wrote back, and we had to go and interview and sign up with this agency. And Mum was not happy about it, but I kind of begged and borrowed and said, "Come on, we need to go and do this," and we did. And I managed to secure. It was only an extra role, but that was it. I was 6 months out of school. They tutored you on set at Elstree Studios. It was when EastEnders was filming there as well. So, you get to meet everybody, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it, yeah. I did two casts of Grange Hill. Just Say No video with the old Zamo and Roland, and that was all good fun. I did that, and then from that I got an extra role in a movie with Robin Hood, with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. So that was pretty cool. That was a year's worth of filming again. So that was like 13, 14, 15.
And are you getting some money?
Yeah, earning good money.
Oh, cool.
Good
Very
money.
cool.
And that's where I got the flavour for it. So there was GCSEs were like, they were boring to me. There was no way I was going back. And I think the school were only too glad to let me go. So
The disruptive child has left the building.
Child. So they said I could leave at Easter ahead of the exams as long as I went back and sat the exams. So I did. But the problem is with extra work, it's so itty-bitty. You never know, when your next contract's going to be. So I got myself a job in a market, and I was working the market stalls. I was working for my uncle at Columbia Road. Hence, that's where I fell in love with flowers. And I was doing, all sorts of work at that point. I had 3 jobs on the go. I was working in a nightclub.
And what market was that?
It was Columbia Road.
So that's up towards the East End of London, yeah? Busy, 4
a.m. start.
That would have given you a little bit of a taste of how to earn a pound note, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was earning good.
Them markets are interesting. I used to pack away a market, and put the stall out. So I'd go there 5 o'clock and put the stall out. For Louis Burridge, shout out to Louis Burridge. I'm sure he's not alive now, but his son must be alive. But they used to sell all plants and pansies and stuff like that, and that was an eye opener. Really good fun.
Well, the thing is, they encouraged me to shout. And you really don't need to encourage me to shout, but I did. And the punters come along, and there you were. It was all cash. It was great. We had the money belts on, and it was busy. It was great. London was thriving. The market trade was busy. It was just a great industry to be in at that time.
But that's not when it started then for the floristry. So you definitely shifted, didn't you? Definitely
shifted. I then decided to be sensible, and the influence of my father, you need to be sensible and do something right. So I got a job in a bank, and it was Midland Bank at the time. I was a cashier, and it was just hell. It was a 9 to 5.
Really?
Ugh. It was just the same thing every day, and you were clock watching, and it was just, I felt trapped. It was just, it wasn't for me. But the bank were very good to me. They put me on a fast track scheme to become in charge of a particular area. I mean, it was stamping checks. It wasn't anything great, but they wanted me to run that particular area. And I stayed there for a good couple of years, but it just wasn't for me longer term. And during that time, my mum was working really hard. My mum and dad were separated, and she was working really hard for a recruitment company. And I used to finish work in the bank and go over there and help her, and she'd be filling bookings and, late in the evening, and I used to help her. And that's where I thought, oh, do you know what? I can do this.
And just to dive in a bit and talk about it or not talk about it, the mum and dad splitting up thing, how do you think that affected you?
I think very young I had to become a provider. I believed that I had to look after my mum. So this real passion of love and looking after her and making sure that she was okay came over me, So I paid rent, I made sure that all the money that I'd earned went back into the family because, we were struggling at that time.
And how many of you, brothers and sisters?
I've got an older brother called Paul and obviously my mum. So it was just the 3 of us.
Right.
It was tough times. Mum was a full-time working mum. My brother was going through his GCSEs at the time, so it was a tough time for the family. But when I started to earn money, and then you realise that you can have nice things again. That was the point where
those bits of luxury on reward of your hard work as well as keeping everything together. Yeah. And your dad was tough on you.
Dad was tough. Yeah, I mean credit to Dad. My dad was a sports master at a school, a secondary school in Upminster. He was there for 30 plus years. And he there was no second place with Dad. It was win or don't take part, basically.
Right, okay.
My dad was always the one that got everybody to push themselves harder. And it's only since he passed, which, at his funeral, there was a lot of ex-students that came to the funeral. And, your dad was incredible. He made me believe I could do something. So that was lovely to hear much later on, that Dad was so inspiring for so many people. Because as his daughter, I sometimes felt that it wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough for him. So there was that inner self-doubt, maybe, that I had to prove that I could do what he wanted me to do.
I think those bits of grit subliminally do have that effect on you. My dad left when I was 16, and I did the thing where my mum backed me, like regardless, she just backed me. But Sam, I needed to prove to myself, but I also needed to prove to my dad that wasn't around.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, even though you're not here, hello, look at me now. So I think that was a push.
Definitely.
You know, definitely a push.
Definitely,
to do it.
yeah, it was.
So you're working with mum.
Yeah, so
and
I
you
was
saw
working with
that
Mum.
you could be involved in her company, or how did that pan
No, I
out?
definitely didn't want to do it with Mum, and she was like, "You're not going to do it again." She, you know, protection. She didn't want me to go into that industry. So I went to an agency locally and signed up, and I'll never forget this guy. His name was Joe, and he was like, "So at 18, Samantha, what can you give me that no, you know, why should I invest in you at a young age?" And I basically just said to him, "Look, I'm hungry, I'm hardworking, I won't let you down," basically. And he took me on, and it was a massive risk because I was the youngest recruiter at that time in the branch and certainly within the local area. And he gave me a desk, which was a cold startup desk. So back in the day, you know, it was the yellow pages, a phone on, and a spinny wheel. You know, there was no mobiles. It was no computers as such. You know,
old Rolodex.
The old Rolodex.
Yeah.
You know, and I was cold calling businesses and going out on the road and getting clients to use us for temp work.
Right.
And I was very good at it.
Yeah, you'd be very good at it.
I was very good at it.
Yeah.
And the more success I had, the more I wanted.
Okay.
So I was hungry, really hungry for it.
And did the money come?
Yes.
The money came because it was on commission basis.
Yes.
And it started to come.
Yes. And then I could do things like with Mum, have nice holidays and, you know, we could start to do stuff that we couldn't do when we were young.
Yeah.
So
And at that stage, how old are you now? Where we are here?
21.
21. So you're still very, very young and making things happen. And where do we progress on to you thinking, I need to be in charge of myself or running my own destiny?
So at 21, I got the job. At 25, I was made branch manager. I was the youngest branch manager in the business. Right. And then at 28, I got a regional manager's role, which put the cat amongst the pigeons. There was a lot of older senior guys that had been there a lot longer than me that didn't get the role. And a couple of people left, you know, so I had to be quite resilient at that point.
You were nearly a decade in that industry then, really?
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yes. And then I fell pregnant with my daughter. Right. And at 30 years of age, I had my daughter, my only daughter, my love, my everything. And
what's your daughter's name?
Frankie.
Frankie, you ever call it to Frankie?
Ah,
on Mummy's podcast.
Yes.
There we go.
Hello, Frankie. And I had her, and sadly, shortly after I had her, my relationship broke down. I got divorced very quickly after that. And I was on my own. And it was just her and I, and there was no way I was going to go back to work and not be a mum.
Right.
So I was like, right, I'm going to do this on my own. So I set up my own business.
What, at home?
At home.
And ran it from home and looking after the little one?
Looking after my little one, yeah.
So really what happened there, you were forced into that position?
Yes.
Right, okay. And that, you know, when we talk about entrepreneurs, where do they start? They usually start at 18 to 24 because there's no responsibilities, you can do it, or they start at like 40, you know, and tender age where they've learnt something, can't be working for them anymore, and they've got a few quid, an inheritance or something, and then off they go. So it's either early or later, but in your situation, you were kind of forced to do it.
Yeah.
In your early 30s, would you mean?
Early 30s, 31, I set up my
Wow.
own company, yeah. And here we are, still running, still going.
And what is the company called?
It's called Right Recruit. It's a rec-to-rec agency, and we place recruiters all over the globe.
So you recruit for recruiters?
So I headhunt headhunters, yes.
Right. Wow. And a team doing that, or you do it?
Yeah, no, there's a team. So we set it up when I was 31. I worked at home for about 2 or 3 years, got my first office in Billericay when I was about 34. And it grew from there, from 2 to 4. We went to 10 at maximum. And you know, it was a great business. We picked up some really, really good contracts. And the team that I have, I mean, one of the guys that I recruited when he was 17 is still with me now. You know, I had a director that was with me for many years up until COVID hit. You know, and we had some real highs doing that job. And I love it. I mean,
and that is what is that for you? Is is that time for money? Not really, because you've got teams that actually out there getting, but you have to pay these guys, don't you? As well?
So with what we do, I don't buy a product because my product is people.
Yeah.
So my salaries are my overheads and obviously my office and all the rest of it that goes into it. But we charge a percentage for everybody we place.
Right. Okay.
The problem is every month you go back to zero, so you're always chasing. So when you every month you might as well start from scratch because it goes back to zero.
And do you not get revenue from their placement?
Yes, you get revenue from their placement,
but
only
payment.
once they've placed.
Okay, all right. I remember a mate of mine was up there doing recruitment for high-end execs or whatever, and they were kind of getting the execs coming to them, paying them to find them a job, and then the bank were paying them to find them a job. But I think it's all changed now. But he was getting paid twice. He was getting paid.
Lucky him.
Yeah, lucky him. Yeah, it was. But that whole recruitment thing, that was it. It was a bit of the big phone and all that in the day, was it not?
Literally, the big Nokia, the original Nokias.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was great because it's all client entertaining and going out and meeting people and all the stuff that I love to do. It's changed a lot over the years, like massively. With the likes of AI and new technology now, everything changes. Yeah. But you have to roll with the change, don't you, in life?
Yes.
So it's we're still there, we're still doing it. We have some big fees now, should I say that on camera? Yeah. But, you can charge a lot for a good hitter.
It is interesting because as entrepreneurs, we like new, shiny stuff sometimes, but we are still doing trees.
Yep.
Men are still going out, pruning trees, planting trees, doing things, and we've done that for 40 years. And people say, but that drudgery and mundane thing, it kind of, if you're good at it, you've got a client base and you know it, and the model is all about, we talk on the pod about the model working. That model obviously works because the outgoings are quite lean, apart from when you're doing the commissions and then you're getting the earnings. So you're on a percentage that if you can get a placement, you're going to earn that money out.
Well, exactly, because if you don't get obviously you've got the salary, but with the commission that you pay your staff, if you don't get if they're not earning the figure, they're not going to get the commission. So it's kind of relative.
And are they on a small base then as well?
Yeah, the base salaries are not that great in recruitment, sadly. No. But if you're hungry, the commissions are good.
So you're driven by that.
Yeah, and you're driven, which is, recruitment is a sales role. Okay. You can dress it up as much as you like, but it's people buy from people at the end of the day.
Team, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know about Baddow Park Mastermind. I have created a mastermind for high-level entrepreneurs. There's only 16 spaces and we've only got a few left. If you often find you're the biggest fish in the pond at other masterminds, click the link in the pod description because this might be just for you. Now, back to the pod. So we need to pause now because we need to go Stock Florist. So you'll have to do that, Ollie. You have to do a big thing and Stock Florist. Because how did Stock Florist come about? Because it is a very, very well-known name. Locally, where we are here in the southeast, people know Stock Florist. You have a whole look about you. Yep. You have a great team. We use you. I personally use you. You look after all my personal stuff for me. You're here at Baddow Park on a very regular basis. We drive people towards you because it's safe. Let's big up what you actually do. They're a safe pair of hands. We need people that are going to turn up. Remember that the date is the date. Remember the flowers have got to be in fridges. You've got fridge lorries. You've got all of the stuff that you need to service the industry that I'm in and you're in, is that you can't muck up.
No.
It's one chance to get it right.
Absolutely right.
So, Sam, what happened? How did you get into that?
So this is my little love story.
Yeah.
So I met my husband, and having a passion for flowers that we spoke about earlier, I always wanted to have a flower shop. I don't know why.
Now, can I just check here? This is husband number 2.
This is husband number 2.
We need to qualify that, right?
Husband number 2.
The other guy, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Husband number 2. So husband number 2 and I met. We moved to Stock. We were walking through the village one day, and there was this empty, old, run-down hairdressers, empty, with a sign that says "For let." Husband number 2 said, I don't know why, but I think...
We'll call him Ian because we can't keep doing that.
Call him Ian. Ian said, and I don't know, he still doesn't know why to this day, he said, I don't know why, but I think a florist would work well there. To which I went, ooh, have I not told you my story? So he was like, what story? So I told him the whole story about used to work at Columbia Road. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, knowing I wasn't going to go back or may not go back to recruitment, I did floristry as a course whilst I was pregnant. I wasn't very good at it, but I did it, wanting to do flowers. So he said that flippant comment. We went on holiday the next day. We spoke about nothing else. And I said, come on, let's do it. And he went, what do you know about flowers? You can't possibly do it. Well,
holidays, by the way, are a very good time to hatch stuff out.
Yes, this is what we
You
did.
have time on those sunbeds. Contemplations.
But again, he said to me, you can't do this, which is something that people should learn they shouldn't say to me. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
And he said, because you don't know the first thing about floristry.
Be very
and I said,
careful what you say to say.
But I can recruit somebody that does. Simple. I'm in recruitment. We will recruit a floristry team.
That's it.
So he sketched the shop as it looks today on the back of a beer mat whilst we were sipping sangria in Tenerife. And that was it. We came back. I phoned the landlord. We did the lease. We took it over. We renovated it. We invested in branding. That had to be right. It had to be on point. You know, the dark with the grey, grey with the gold. It had to be streamlined, something that people could recognise.
And you can. Your brand. You notice those vans flying around, don't you? You can see them from miles away. Yeah.
And we did it. We recruited a team, and we opened. And the rest is history, as they say.
Because the thing that you don't know is that I also owned a florist.
Wow.
I owned a florist in Leigh-on-Sea at the back of the Colton. I took a shop on. A friend of mine was developing some shops. I took a shop on with a very loose lease so I could try it and come out if it didn't work.
No way. You've never mentioned this.
And it didn't work. That's why I never mentioned it. It's a rip scar in my back.
What was it called?
I can't remember what it was called. No, I think it was Ruskin's. I think we just called it Ruskin's Florist. One of our customers was Ruskin's.
This is brilliant. No?
Ruskin's Florist. And we used to sell all stuff like that. But we didn't have proper girls that would come in and make up the flowers. We sold a lot of plants and a lot of gifts and stuff like that. But we were still a florist. We didn't have... And have you got the floristry? What is it, the florist thing they have? The Interflora. Are you Interflora?
No, we don't do Interflora.
And we didn't have Interflora. And there were other people that were doing all the Interflora stuff. And it lasted about 8 months. And then we just went, well, this isn't working, is it? But I used to go up to the market and buy stuff that I thought I sell. I was just like in fantasy land.
This is so brilliant.
But that's what we did. So with your stuff, how did you work that you were going to take on weddings, the highlight days of Mother's Day, and
so the business brain in my head worked out very quickly that our location in Stock Village was very close to Greenwood's, Crondon, Stockbrook. You know, that was initially my thought.
That are all wedding venues,
all very prestigious wedding venues in the local area. So straight away, I made headway with those 3 venues, and it was my job to go out and to sell the brand and sell the vision.
Oh, I'm sure they had a whirlwind of you coming through the doors.
Safe to say we were successful with 2 of those, and we worked closely with them in the early days, and they've been wonderful to me over the years.
But Sam, we've been wonderful for you because of the way you do it, and people are listening to the pod or watching us. When Sam came and approached us, we were doing open days. You just provided all the flowers for free, and then you came and said, "Would you like us to come and help? You know, talk about flowers and stuff like that." And in the end, anything that we were doing, an open day, whatever, we would speak to Sam, she'd come and do it. You know, that's 6 years ago we've been working together. Now you're one of our key contractors here. We ask for a theme and you'll create a theme for us. We do a charity night, you provide stuff for charity night. You know, this is how you've got to do some sweat equity in there, haven't you? You've got to put some money and time in to get in a lifetime client. That's why I'm driving.
Absolutely. You know, my thoughts is your clients, you know, they are your everything, because without your client in any business, you don't have a business. Yeah. So, you know, you look after your client. You know, it's not rocket science. You look after your client, you provide a good service, you make sure that you do everything that you say you're going to do and some. Yeah. And if you do that, you will always have that reputation and that relationship. And it is, again, going back to what I said earlier, it's about relationships. People will buy from people.
I am so glad that we have got the relationship, because I phone you up, don't I, on the day of anniversary.
Sam, I've messed up. I've done it again. I've actually made a mental note now. I'm going to remind you a week before.
We're on my anniversaries after all the kids' families. You have saved the day. Like, you went to me once, you went, right, well, you do know the shop is shut. And I went, Oh, right. Where am I talking to you now? You're on my mobile. I will go back to the shop. I will get something and I will drop it off. I went, oh, no, you don't have to. No, I'll do it. And you've saved the day. So I appreciate that.
But that's that's kind of what I try and install in all the teams that I have and that I work with. It's about that delivery. If you can deliver what you say you're going to deliver and do it to the right quality, people will rebuy.
And your team that I interface with the shop and the florists when they're here, and I don't see you as much at all, but they are trained.
Yes.
They are on point. Smiley faces, happiness. Yes. All got their uniform on. The vans are all signed in. People have got to take stock of this. If you're in this sector of service sector like this is, it is important, isn't it? It is important. It is
so important because it's what people see, isn't
it? Yes, first impressions.
First impressions count, and it's what people will remember. My girls, I'd love to think that they do it because they love it and because they love working with me and with the team. I'm very focused on the team. Yeah. The fact that I don't do the flowers, I think, allows them the opportunity to do what they're good at. Yeah. Creators want to create. Yeah. So I allow them to do that. I run the business side of the florist and do, the relationship side of it in terms of the venues and the people that we want to work with. And they do the delivery. They are the ones that are making the product. And I think that's why it works. And I think certainly from my side, where I don't actually get involved with the day-to-day, I can sit back and think and reflect and look at what works, what doesn't work. And, I think every business owner needs that time to actually look at it and think, right, what's going right here and what's going wrong and what do we need to change?
I think training is important. We still do Wednesdays twice a month training day, and I think when I've been to the shop at Stock with someone that doesn't know me, and it's no different. Hello, how can I help you? You would expect it if they know me, but and it's very good, and I can see that from a mile away of how that works. Did you expand that business to more shops, or what have you done? Yes,
we did. We have a second shop now in Bishop Stortford, which we opened during lockdown. It was a brave move, but perfect location. I was approached by the owner of Florence Walk, which is a beautiful arcade in Bishop Stortford, and the shop is right at the very front of Florence Walk, so on the main road in a busy high street, very different to what we have in Stock. And she said to me that she wanted a high-end florist in number one, which is the unit that we've taken. Again, husband was like, you don't need another one straight away. I'm like, yeah, we do. Okay. So off we went, and the branding was already there. We just had to carbon copy what we had in stock, build a new team, and Bishop Stortford is flying. It's a very, very, very successful shop, and I'm lucky that that I'm in a position that I am, that I've got it, and that the girls there are great and get it, and totally understand what it is that we're trying to do.
The floristry is that want, need and regular having, aren't they? Because they we've got funerals, we've got birthdays, we've got anniversaries, we've got weddings, we've got all of that stuff, and it just keeps going on. And it's,
those Mother's Days, they come around quick, Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, they're the occasions. Then you've got wedding season, then you've got Christmas classes.
I've been to Stock, where the shop is here near us, at Christmas. It is just on fire, baby, isn't it?
It's great.
It's just, there's stuff everywhere. There's people coming in, there's labels, there's things. There's a guy coming in like this with shaky hands. Well, I haven't ordered anything. We go, right, what do you want to spend on this budget? And the girls will go out, put something together, and you see him you've saved the day for him. But I think the whole thing of the floristry stuff, the artistic side of it as well, is very cool, isn't it? Your girls, I've come in here and they've done things like, it's a Greek wedding, and it's completely different. Mm-hmm. Or someone's doing like spring flowers or stuff like that, and it's not spring. No. And you've got all spring flowers in for them, and there's pots and centre things on the table, and it's very, very twee and fey and stuff. They're completely different themes, aren't they, that the girls create?
Yep, absolutely. We can create any theme at any season, which is wonderful. You know, some of the suppliers that we've got are the finest in the business. Yeah. So we're very lucky that we can do that. But as I said, an artist wants to paint, my girls want to make beautiful creations, and I don't allow them to do that. There's no two displays that are the same, and no two weddings are the same. No. So, it allows them that opportunity to be free and to keep up with current trends and to just make beautiful flowers. We've got a wedding here tomorrow.
Have we got a wedding here tomorrow?
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we are in August, guys, when we're filming this. We are back-to-back weddings through the whole of August, but This where I wanted to go next really was, as a business person and as an entrepreneur, as a female, tell us about that. Is that tricky with your personality? Just dominate the room, or how does it work? Because I'm sure plenty of girls and ladies are watching us here. Give us some insight to that.
You have to really be able to work a room, number one. I think in the recruitment industry, I used to turn up to a client and there'd be a warehouse manager sat at a desk sipping brandy out of his drawer, his feet on the desk, and all right, love, and you have to, all right, love, and have a brandy with him, and then you'll get your corporate clients where you have to walk in and you do a presentation. So it's about having that hat and being able to take your hat off to adapt to a situation.
A chameleon to what
Absolutely.
You need to do. Yeah.
And that's a real tough thing to teach somebody.
Yeah.
I tried to teach, we are what we are at the end of the day, but I think one of my strengths is that I can read people quite well.
Yeah.
And I know how to behave when I need to behave.
Yeah.
My teachers wouldn't agree with that, but...
Well, I wouldn't agree with that because I have been out a couple of nights with you.
No.
And I've just sat at the bar with Ian with her head in her hands going, what is she doing on the dance floor? But that's a complete different podcast. That would be for another day.
That would be the Prosecco's fault.
That would be the Prosecco. But and I think that as entrepreneurs, we don't really have any choice, but we have to find this personality and bubble about us. We are promoters.
Absolutely.
We're promoting ourselves. We're promoting our skills. We're promoting our companies, our teams, our products, everything. And I think, if you're not prepared to do that, be careful what you wish for, because I don't think you'll survive in it. I think that is part of it.
But do you not think that has to be natural? I think that has to be a natural... I think, yes, you can work at all those different areas, but I think naturally you have to have that passion within.
I think
because it's exhausting, isn't it?
I think a customer or a buyer can smell the bullshit a mile away. And I think that we pride ourselves on here at Baddow Park House that we have training, but we ask people to become those characters of themselves. The smiley face, the I'll take you to where the toilets are, whatever, and they do it in their own way. That probably wouldn't be the same as you and I, or not as flamboyant or noisy or whatever, but you find it. Our head gardener, Sam, he's just lovely.
Oh,
he's got his long hair and his motorbike and his tattoos, and I said everybody loves Sam because he is the genuine article.
Yeah.
He does a bit of Instagram stuff for us, and I said, and you want to follow Sam. What is Sam up to today? Because he comes across as the genuine, very hard-working, good guy that makes the gardens and everything look fab. And I think that as entrepreneurs and leaders, the leadership thing. It's a lot of responsibility. Do you think that it
Definitely.
is?
You don't switch off, do you?
Not really, no.
It's a massive responsibility, and I'm so in for my team. I get so much pleasure out of seeing them develop. And we've gone from the trainee at Riddle, the junior student that's come through, that's now managing the shop, managing teams, managing installs, managing weddings. And to see the transition from young to successful, and my goals are very driven to be better. And I think that's credit to me, and I think that's credit to the business as a whole, because we're always pushing to be better.
I think I said on a pod that we filmed a couple of weeks ago, the most enjoyment over the few years I've had is building the team for 100%. This wedding business. We have another team that runs all the warehousing and commercial property, but this business has been more fun because there's a bit more fun to it. Everybody's bloody happy when they're visiting. We're getting people that you're creating memories and their family all coming together to have a fabulous time, and it all rubs off on the team, and the team love it. But to build that team up, and we have a thing, Sam, that we talk about where we will allow you to come to work to fail, and you can fail, but you can't fail on the same thing twice.
No, exactly right.
We're here to have a bit of failure, try something, it doesn't work, move it, shift it, tweak it. And it's taken us probably 3 to 4 years to get our model right of what wedding we are, what level we are, who our customer avatar is, and I must admit, through all of that chopping and changing and stuff, the support from you, some of the DJ guys, some of our calligraphy people that come and help us on open days, they're big days for us. And we want other smiley-facing contractors that will make them think, but this is a one-stop shop. I can come here. Gainer will help us plan the wedding and do everything for us. So it all comes together. But it just goes to show you that those entrepreneurs are pulling together in an industry that is you can only get it right once.
Absolutely
and that's
right.
it.
Well, it's everybody's fairy tale, isn't it?
Tell us about a disaster. What I was saying, there must be a disaster story.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Where do we begin?
Not that many.
No, disaster. Let me think.
But a wedding disaster, has ever been that?
Early days, we had a marquee wedding, and the bride wanted, it was actually, it was quite a high profile wedding, and the bride wanted really tall vases.
Right.
So we had these beautiful tall vases that we got in just to suit the design. Little did we know, bloody Hurricane Helder was going to blow through the marquee. The marquee was literally shaking, and all the poser tables went, and all the vases and everything went with them.
Oh.
So that was a bit of a disaster, early days.
And were you able to rescue it back somewhere?
Well, I mean, thankfully, what can you do? There was literally a storm,
yeah.
But, you learn very quickly that if things are on tables and they're a bit wobbly, they have to be secured. Yeah. And that was an early lesson that we had.
We had a lady about 2 months ago at Oliver. She turned up here. I just be at the back area where the kitchens are. She's walking up with a big cake. And I said, "Oh, you're right there." I said, "Yeah." And I'm thinking, we haven't got a wedding on today.
Oh, well, at least you got some lunch.
Perhaps she's bringing it in for someone.
At least you got some lunch.
And she walked out, she goes, I said, okay. I said, if you put it on that countertop. I said, "Oh, hello, what's your name?" "Oh, hello, I'm whatever she was." I said, "So what's the wedding then?" She said, "Oh, no, Sue and Jack or whatever." I said, "Okay." So I got my phone out, went into the Bright venue system that we use like that. I went, "Yeah." I said, that's next month." "Oh, it's on the same day as today, on the 22nd, but that's in a month's time." And I showed her things. She just went,
no,
she went,
that's a shocker.
"Well, at least it's not gone, the date." And I went, "Oh my God." And she promptly picked the cake up.
And off she went. She should have left it.
I wasn't quick enough with what you said. I should have said, "Well,
you got lunch.
You don't want to race that, do you?" And I won't tell anyone, just leave the cake.
We had one where we were delivering in the morning and there was chaos. It was just, you turned up, you could have, the atmosphere was just shot.
Wow.
We were like, wow, what's happened? And the bride's groom got drunk, obviously, the night before at the hotel, and had got in bed with the bridesmaid.
Oh, Sam.
The wedding didn't happen. It was pretty awful, to be fair, but yeah.
Oh. We've had one here. I mean, this is like story of story. Yeah. Who can pick the best story? Look at Oliver's face.
He's like,
he's not getting married yet, Oliver. But a week before, he had got caught with his trousers down, and they cancelled the whole wedding. But Sam, they paid for everything.
I'd have still had the party and left him at home. That would have been that. There's no way.
But that is you. You would have ate the cake and had the party.
I'd have ate the cake and had the party. You're missing opportunities, James. Honestly.
But it is a funny world, isn't it?
Honestly, you see so many different things.
And we do like up to sort of 60 weddings a year here. What do you think you do in a year? Numbers of weddings? Do you know?
I do know. Yeah. Of course I know. I say this year 120, which is a nice number.
Is it?
After COVID, 250 wasn't fun.
No, went mad.
And it wasn't profitable.
Right.
It was tough after COVID because obviously, you'd honoured the prices pre-COVID. The weddings didn't happen. Everyone's weddings got back.
Everything went through the roof.
Everything went up. We're in a position where we didn't have a caveat in our contract to say COVID's going to come along.
Yeah.
So that was a real tough couple of years for us. If there was a low, I'd say that was it. And everybody was like, "But the weddings are coming back. You must be having it off." We were running around like crazy people, still having to deliver the service, still having to keep the bar high, but losing money. It was.
And you couldn't drop the bar for your brand because you've got a brand marker you've got to keep up. We hear it cost us a lot of money, and if you were trying to get dividends or anything out of the business, take any money out, forget it. Because we just had to keep in.
I was glad when the girl said, "This is our last COVID bride."
Yes.
Because no one could see what was going to happen there. No. I mean, I remember when Boris blew the whistle, I packed the milk at work and said, "Shall I bring the milk, or we'll be back in a few days?" It was terrible for everybody. Yeah. But, that's done. There was a massive hike after. We did it, but it wasn't fun.
I think the whole thing as business people and entrepreneurs running businesses, the things that are thrown at us. You've got Brexit, then you've got COVID, then you've got a new government, you've got high interest rates, low interest rates. You go to Denmark, There's one interest rate. It's been the same for about 24 years. It's at 2.8%. All businesses pay that as loans. They keep a stable level on it. There's grants for upstarting businesses. It's very, very different. We are in the bloody war zone, aren't we?
Literally.
Yeah.
What about Stock Florist Denmark? Fancy it?
Stock Florist Denmark, yeah.
We could do it.
Well, it'd be constant profit at a margin,
exactly.
wouldn't it? That's it, yeah.
Have
you been out there at all? Have you been to those?
I have. I've been to Denmark.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. There was I went to a beautiful hotel, Dongliater, I think was by memory. Beautiful.
I've gone out there twice with Edward, my little boy, to Beelen.
Nice.
And that is the home of Lego. Oh. He loves Lego, so we were out there.
Do you like Lego?
Oh, I love it. I love Lego. I build with him. That's how we do our thing. But the Lego story, Edward and I have even listened to the book, Brick by Brick it's called. And it's all about the Lego story. That's a great business, fantastic business.
Absolutely.
It's great. We're going off piste a bit. I mean, you talk about COVID with the floristry thing and how you had to come back and honour all those things. Where are you now in COVID with the recruitment business? What happened there? Oh,
honestly, talk about a complete change. I mean, COVID came. The thing is, in my sector, we felt there was something coming. All of a sudden, the checkbook was closing in terms of new vacancies coming through, and we could feel there was a tremble in the water on the lead up to it. And obviously then, as I say, Boris blew the whistle, COVID came, we didn't know how long we were going to be out for. It was a sad time for the recruitment industry as well because, everything came to a standstill. Nobody was hiring because nobody was open. Unfortunately, I had to make some tough decisions at the time. I had a director who used to work with me who I had to make redundant. I didn't realise that furlough was going to be a thing. I've got to think about how am I going to pay these salaries. And he was the biggest salary that I had, so I had to make him redundant, which was a really tough decision. And we came out of the office that we were in, and who'd have thought that work from home would ever be a thing? Yeah. And now, I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but, I get the youngsters coming through now saying to me, what's the work from home model? What's the hybrid model? I'm very old school. I think you need to be on the phones, sharing leads and generating ideas together, but it's a different world.
Go into that in a bit more detail, because that is a controversial thing, isn't it? With the Gen Z crowd to the COVID thing to where we are as probably older business owners or business owners that have been in it a longer time. I think I'm with you.
What, you have to be in the thick?
Yeah,
you've got to be in.
You got to be with. If you're someone's going to learn off, you're not going to learn off in their dressing gown on Zoom. They need to be listening subliminally to what's going on.
The thing is, a prime example of that would be I could be on the phone to a candidate having a great call, and my colleague is sitting there listening to my conversation and could be thinking to himself, "I've got the perfect job for that candidate." I put the phone down. If I'm in my bedroom or will come wherever it may be. Where am I going to share that information?
Or they're listening to someone else's patter on the phone and they think,
sales skill, that's a good line.
Yeah, that's it.
So, old school me thinks that we should all be back to work, behind our desk, sharing leads back. But that just sadly isn't the way that it is, And
Kelly, that is our main director of the wedding venue, Kelly Sinnott, she works from home, I think, 3 days a week. She's gagging to get into work, to come in and have that camaraderie thing. I mean, she's very good. She does all our marketing and sales and stuff, and she hacks it at work. She does loads of work. But, she says, I just love coming in. She lives quite a way out, so she says, I love coming in. Yeah. It's her best part of the week.
Well, you get ready, you go to work. Yes, your mindset is, I'm driving to work, I'm going to work. Yeah. You get into work, you make your coffee, whatever you do, you sit at your desk, I'm at work. Yeah. I mean, speaking from my own experience, if I'm at home and the dishwasher bings or the washing machine's doing, your distractions are the wrong distractions. Yeah. That's my opinion.
And for young entrepreneurs coming through, have you got tips for starting businesses or how to go about it? Is anything that you would want to put out there to say, anything like that you'd want to say? I
just think you don't necessarily need to know nuts and bolts. I think the florist has proven that, that you can make something successful. I just think have a plan and be prepared that plan is going to change. Yeah. As you go through, but you have to accept the highs and the lows and be prepared, for something that you expect is going to happen that might not happen. Yeah. And just be resilient. You need to be resilient if you're going to set up a business.
I think anybody starting a business, you've got to expect that there are going to be some failures, aren't there?
Absolutely.
Or there's going to be some pivots, like some serious pivots.
And it's normally the things you don't expect it to be.
Yeah.
That's what normally happens.
Yeah. And how much time now are you spending in the floristry side of it?
How
do you share your time? That's a good question. How do you share
I'd
your
say Monday to Friday, 80% of my time is recruitment.
Wow, okay.
20% floristry. Weekends, all floristry.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this, that adds up to 7 days. That is what happens.
I work 7 days.
Oh, we're going to be entrepreneurs and have this life of loveliness and do what we want. We're in control of our own life and we'll do and say and be wherever we want to be. Not really. 7 days a week. I mean, I'm doing all the hours, 62 years old. But I do love it.
Same.
And I love the control.
Yep.
And I love the freedom. And I love all the team around me that I can ask for to do things and help them and stuff. So it's very... We're lucky. We've made our own luck. We've got to be careful we say that, Sam. We're at a different level to younger companies or people coming through. But it is worth coming through all that pain. Do you think it is?
Oh, I wouldn't change it for anything.
But this is not for the faint-hearted either,
Absolutely
is it?
not.
No, it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. You can't run your own business and switch off.
No.
You just can't.
No, you can't. No. And a lot of people do want to do that. We've got people that work for us, managers and stuff like that come in and they do their time and they turn their phone off and
they go home.
They go to football matches at the weekend. They go on their little holidays and they do the thing there. We need them to come in and run our businesses for us.
Absolutely.
Because we are probably not the best people at running businesses.
I think if I was in the florist every day, I'd drive them mad.
Yes.
You know, so as I said, it works that I'm not there every day, but I'm behind the scenes doing all the business side of it for them.
And you're trying to hunt new customers out.
Absolutely.
You're trying. I always think that I'm like a helicopter looking down on stuff.
Yes.
Trying to say, well, that looks a bit crappy there.
Yeah, we need
or
to sort
that's
that
got
out.
shabby because we used to not do that. We used to do that better and why and all this. And you're just trying to make sure you've tweaked the model to stay on point on brand, on point on quality.
Yep.
And I think all of that is sort of stewardship of the business. Is that the right word you say?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
You're trying to be...
But
not interfere. How do you... Oh, that's a great question. How do you not interfere?
It's very hard. I'm not going to lie. It's very difficult. How do I know? I have to trust their judgment in a lot of things. I'm a very visual person, so I can walk in and think, I don't like that. That's not right. That leaf's not right. You know.
Yeah.
But they've just got used to that I do that now, and nobody takes offence if I come in and say, you know, that's not.
We have a thing. Sam, we're in a meeting on a Tuesday where we allow tough love.
Yeah.
And like, well, I asked you to do it Wednesday, and it's now Thursday, so I don't know what's going on. You know, so we do that, but
but that's really important, see.
Yeah, no, it is
because you have to be able to say, you know, and you know, personalities sometimes don't always match, do they? You know, and if someone's having a shitty day and the other one's all happy days, you know. But you have to allow people freedom to be able to say, well, that actually really should have been done, or that's really peed me off.
Yeah, for the health and wealth of the company
and the team.
And the team as well, because they are there every day, and your team are there sort of sometimes 6 days a week, aren't they? All together. I think the one thing that I find that is the hardest thing to do is the meddling, and I've Alex, my estate manager that was in earlier when we were having a pre-chat. He's worked for me since he was like 16 years old. Yeah. And I will come in and start saying something, and I'll go, "You're not actually listening to me." He said, No, I am listening. And I go, "No, you're not actually listening to it." And he goes, "No, I am, but I've heard it before, and I know the problems that you're going to pick out because I've already identified them. I am on the case. We're very busy.
Isn't that wonderful? Don't you think that's wonderful? I think that's wonderful. Like,
absolutely.
I've got that in both businesses. I'm very lucky that, you know, Hannah's been with me 11 years. Johnny's been with me about the same in both businesses.
It's good, isn't it?
And it's just, you know, they're just.
But it's good that. That's good for you that these people stay around you that long, and that they enjoy it, and they've got a career with you. Yeah. You know, I always talk about people who've never got jobs. I don't want anybody to have a job with me. I want them to have a career. They want to have a career
and a journey. It's all part of the journey.
They usually spend more time with the business than they do in their home life.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the people they love coming to work. And the uniform, you know, you see someone out in Tesco's with a Stock Florist jacket or something on. Same with Bad Approach. They get asked, don't they? Yeah. What is Stock Florist? Yeah. They go, "Oh no, we do high-end flowers for weddings and everything else." And they do ask. Yeah. Kelly always tells me that her friend from school said, "Oh, what are you doing now? What is that? What is that Bad Approach?" And we said, "We make memories."
But that's all part of the plan, isn't it?
That's all part of it. Yeah, and I do love it. I mean, Sam, what is happening? You have these two businesses, that you're heading up and running. You've got no partners in this as a shareholder. It's all about you. What does the future look like? What are you going to do? Are you expanding? Are you cruising? What's in your head?
I think the recruitment side is cruising for now. I'm quite comfortable with the levels that we've got at the minute. There's 4 of us. We all know what we're doing. We're all specialists, skilled in our markets. I'm quite happy to cruise along and see what happens with the economy in terms of, what the future looks like. From the florist point of view, I'm really looking to evolve with the flower school. I'm looking to take up a location in Bishop Stortford where I can really push forward and teach people the art of floristry, whether it be on a professional level or whether it be just for fun with friends. Okay. So at the moment, that's something I'm looking at. I'm still quite a long way off, so nothing's set in stone, but I would like to see Stock Florist Flower School in a location. And
have you looked at that? Others doing that model? Is that a monetary thing? Is there good money in that?
There's not many of them. There was a big one in London that isn't doing so much anymore. There's one in Bath that we follow that are incredible at what they do. So there's pockets of areas where it could work, and I think certainly Bishop Stortford being such a central point to get into London, like easy commute into London, I think we could get away with having a high-end flower school without the London prices.
Okay. Because your main business is what? Is the florist, would you say? It's not really, because you're actually an operator within the recruitment, aren't you? You're one of that 4 as well, aren't you? You have your own customer base as well.
Yes.
Okay. At this point of the pod, we have a feature.
Oh.
Ollie, what are we doing? What is our feature with all your noisy equipment today? What is our feature, Ollie, today?
Our feature today is What Are We Reading?
What are we reading? Do you read much?
I don't read much, but I have just read this book, which is incredible, called Let Them. And it's a book about not worrying about what people think.
Okay.
Or not, actually, that's not, it's about what you can't control, what you can't control.
Okay.
So Let Them. That's the
Do you know the
mindset.
author?
No.
Mel Robbins. Okay, well, we'll do that. We'll pop it up so the audience can see it and you at home can see it. And our listeners, sorry, listener, always forget. You told me off earlier at the beginning of this production today that I keep forgetting that we've got not just viewers. So I apologise, dear listener. I've done a thing again where I'm nerdy because I go back on books that I like and I'll probably read them up to 6 to 7 times. And my dyslexic brain, I think the digestion is only about 10% every time I read a book. But I'm now getting a new 10% on a reread because some of it's a bit boring, so I skip through bits and go to the bits that I was really interested in. But Felix Dennis is either How to Get Rich or Get Rich. I think it's How to Get Rich. He was a publicist and did loads of entrepreneurial books, magazines, all sorts of things that he did. It was a global entity of publishing. And he never got married. He was involved in drugs, hookers, booze. He lived the real life, Sam. Like he was out there. He must have had the constitution of a lion, the amount of things he'd done. Do you know what I mean? He was unbelievable. And he ended up leaving tons of money, because he didn't have any children, to a big woodland in the Midlands that's funded for life, ever. It's like an ongoing thing.
That's
and it's
amazing.
To create this massive woodland because in his lifetime he cut down millions of trees, shoving them into books and magazines.
What a wonderful way to end.
He just did the flick on it. But it's an interesting book, and you read it. He's no bullshit Billy. I mean, he just says it as it is. And his one thing was about shareholding. He never gave shares away. He was 100%
he held on.
He held on. He gave people massive bonuses and target monies and all that stuff, but he never, ever gave a share away, ever. He owned everything.
That's amazing.
Really, really interesting, dogmatic entrepreneur. And it's a long book. It's a great book. And the narration of it, when I listen to it, obviously with the audio, but if you've not read it, get it. As entrepreneurs, it should be in your bookcase or in your iPhone as a great listen.
Oh, I shall certainly do that. Thank you.
What does Samantha and Ian do, what is your leisure time? Let's do a bit of a leisure question. What do you do?
I like to travel. South of France is a favourite part of the world for us.
You've never knocked on my door when you've been that way.
No, you've never invited me, James.
That is true.
We've planned a little trip in October where we're going to drive down through Epinay, go down into Saint-Tropez, stay there for a week or so and come back. So, we like to do that type of stuff. Love our home, love gardening.
Because you've got a new house recently.
Got a new house, yes.
Loads of money.
No,
you're on the phone to me. How much does a drive cost to build? I went, quite a lot, I would imagine.
And it did cost quite a lot.
Did you?
Yeah, no, we've got it's a renovation project. It's kind of going to take a few years for us to get it.
And do you enjoy that?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it. Having the kitchen done at the moment though, which is not ideal.
Because they're only about $6,000, aren't they?
Yeah,
kitchens?
of course. It's
Sam,
I think
it's unbelievable.
I think the builders are going to move in.
But you just go, how can it be that much money? It's a load of boxes with doors on the front.
Yes.
And they go, oh no, £78,000.
Yes.
Fall off your chair.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, so if there's any kitchen companies watching, and Ollie's father is one, Oliver's father does this for a living. Oh dear, it's painful. Building is painful.
Building is painful, but that's
painful.
why I love my garden, because it gives so much back.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a lot to make a nice garden.
Sam, I have really enjoyed our chat,
Same.
and I hope our listeners and viewers have enjoyed it as well. You are a true wizard of entrepreneurship with all the stuff you've done. And if you want stuff done right with anything to do with flowers, speak to Sam. They are. I'm not just saying it because you're a contract to us and a friend to me, but those girls nail it every time they've done stuff for me.
Well,
it's
I shall feed that back to
them.
them.
You
they
tell
will be
them.
very, very happy to hear that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you hit those buttons and bells and make sure you do the subscribe and give us a comment. Let us know what you think of the pods and how we're getting on and how we're delivering the message of entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs conversation. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.